Hey everyone, this is Tim. I can't believe it's been almost 2 years since my last video. A lot of you guys have been asking me where I've been, what I've been up to. Thank you everyone for all the emails and comments that you guys leave. I read every single one of them. So since it's been a while, I thought I'd make a video to share an update. I wouldn't have been gone this long without a good reason. Starting in May of 2022, I started having more and more pain in my right wrist when I played tennis and after. I've had different right wrist injuries before and been treated for them, but this time things felt worse. Doctors will usually ask you on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad's your pain, 1 being least, 10 being worst. And I would say in this case, things probably got to an 8 or 9. I was having pain doing very basic things like clicking my seatbelt or washing the dishes or even plugging in and unplugging electrical cords. So after about 3 months of rest and recovery and not getting better, I went and saw my doctor in August. My primary care doctor diagnosed it as just tendonitis and told me to rest for a month and do physical therapy. I was a little skeptical, concerned, and I kept pushing to try and see orthopedics. My insurance here in Northern California is through Kaiser. To see a specialist like orthopedics, you have to get referred by your primary care doctor. My primary care doctor wouldn't approve it. So I ended up doing physical therapy for about a month. No tennis, no lifting during this time. And things did get a little bit better. I got more kind of flexibility, the pain went away a little bit, but I was still concerned and I wanted to see orthopedics. So I ended up getting a referral there, actually through a different doctor while my primary care doctor was out. When I went to orthopedics, they took an x-ray of my wrist, which my primary care doctor did not do. And it was the x-ray that showed what the actual problem was. In your forearm, you have 2 bones, the radius and the ulna, and they meet together at your wrist joint here. And in most people, the length of the radius and the ulna are the same. That's what they call neutral. In some cases, one bone is longer than the other, and that starts to cause structural problems. In my case, my ulna is longer than the radius. Based on what I've heard from doctors, it's anywhere from 3 to 6 millimeters longer. What that's causing is every time I play tennis and hit a ball, the longer ulna is impacting my wrist joint. It's tearing up basically all the soft tissue. The condition is called ulnar positive variance, which results in ulnar impaction syndrome. The doctor at Kaiser Orthopedics told me that I needed a procedure called an ulnar shortening osteotomy, or USO for short. It's this pretty gruesome surgical procedure. It's super invasive. You can't lift anything heavier than maybe a cup of coffee for a month, and it can take anywhere from 4 to 6 months for you to regain your level of physical activity. So needless to say, I was totally shocked. I'm a really healthy person. I never had any sort of surgery before like this. I've only gotten my wisdom teeth out. I've never even broken a bone before. After sharing this with some friends of mine who are doctors, they recommended that I changed my insurance at the end of the year when open enrollment opened and see some other doctors to get other opinions. I ended up seeing 2 more orthopedic hand surgeons, one at UCSF and one at Stanford, getting an MRI. The MRI confirmed that I had multiple tears in my wrist cartilage that need to be repaired. If folks are interested, I'll pop an image of the MRI report somewhere on the screen over here. There wasn't any particular thing that I did that led to this. This condition is partially congenital and it can be worsened over time by repeated activity. I went from playing tennis 2 to 3 times a week, feeling like I was improving, competing in leagues and tournaments and playing with friends, to pretty much not being able to play at all. And it was super frustrating. It felt like it was entirely out of my control and there was nothing that I could do. Ultimately, after doing a lot of research on my own and talking to the doctors at UCSF and Stanford, I decided that surgery was the best option for me. When I met with the doctor at Stanford, he described how there are 2 different procedures I could do. One is the bone shortening. The other is an arthroscopic surgery. The arthroscopic surgery is much less invasive and minor. It's common for NBA players and tennis players to get it in their different joints. They stick a tiny camera into the joint and try to clear out debris. You're only in a cast for, in my case, 2 weeks versus 6 weeks, and the recovery time is much shorter. I think for me, I'm just generally more conservative and risk averse, and so it felt like arthroscopic surgery would be a good option first. So yeah, that's what's been going on. My surgery is scheduled for this upcoming Thursday, March 16th. The biggest piece of advice, having gone through this myself, is to be your own biggest advocate. Doctors are humans and they make mistakes too. I was really mad at first at my primary care physician at Kaiser because they misdiagnosed me and thought it was tendonitis. And when you meet with doctors, it can sometimes feel like what they're saying is the end-all be-all and you absolutely have to do what they tell you to do, but in reality that's not the case. You can go meet with other doctors, you can do your own research online. You know, Andy Murray, who had those surgical procedures on his hips, he said that he met a doctor 5 years ago who told him he'd never be able to play professional tennis again, and look where he is now. I want to thank all my tennis friends. You know who you are. My family and my girlfriend through the last couple months in helping me kind of deal with this whole thing. After I have my surgery, I'm planning to document the recovery and the comeback, so stay tuned for that. As always, thank you all for watching and hope to see you soon.